this civilization, or our ancestors in this case, guys, they are starting to build or connect every single village or every single administrative center with some roads called Kapahnyang. Yeah, Kapahnyang involve the let's say the Inca society started to conquer or gain the territories until Ecuador, Quito, part of Colombia. Yeah, that was the limit on the northern part. And the south part, they also conquered part of Chile and Argentina. That's the limit of Rio Maule.
Who were the upper and lower
Those guys.
communities?
The first guy, yeah, who established all this order and started to gain territory was Pachacutec, yeah, the ninth Inca ruler. In this continent, we can consider the guy as Alexander Magnus in Roma, for example. He established or reorganized this civilization in that time, in that period. In our period, or in the Inca society, Pachacutec was the guy who organized or reorganized and established new rules in this society, no, in South America actually. Okay, obviously he was not the only one. After him, his son, his grandson, the 10th, the 11th rulers were the most principals that they gained all of this territory. Okay, connecting, as I said, connecting some administrative center along the mountains or valleys. The chronicles describe this. No? They said, or it's of them is Inca Garcilaso de la Vega. Okay, this guy described that the Incas built the royal path called Kapahnyang, connecting two main roads. One is crossing from the upper part of the close to the Andes, and another one crossing the coast area, maybe. But both connect with the principal city, which was the Cusco, no? Cusco as the capital, or Cusco as the original name. Okay. In between, obviously, exist some transversal roads that connected each other. Okay. Approximately, that's the description. 3,000 leguas. That's the name of this. That's how they describe. But the research, archaeological research, shows that more than 40,000 kilometers distance were built by the Incas. Much bigger even the Romans or the Chinese culture. Okay. All of this, in some areas, for example, they use rocks to make clear in the Andes mainly. Okay. So protecting on the sides, very big, between 5 to 8 meters weighted, quite nice. And each of those path or royal road has their own drainage system, for example. Yeah. In the coast area, which was much difficult to find rocks. Yeah. What they do is, for example, putting trees on the sides of the road that the people recognize at the end. No. I have some picture in here. Okay. Along the territory, around this area, guys. Well, let's say, how was that possible in this case? How they make these big projects in just, let's say, one last century? They apply one system, and this system is called mita. Yeah. So this it consists in convoking, or let's say convoking or calling members from different communities, and they gather they come and they're starting to build, organizing in groups. Some of them transporting rocks, some of them breaking the rocks, some of just leveling the rocks on the ground. This was, or this is considered a way how they pay the taxes. Okay. During the Inca society, the money doesn't exist. How the government has collected taxes was mainly hand labor, hand labor. So seems like the Inca was taking advantage of his power as Europeans, similar in that period, obviously. But in compared European system, guys, the Inca ruler, so he was applied at the end was these workers, coming for like a rotation system for about 3 months, then going back. Then other groups are coming and back again. So at the end of these 3 months, the people, they say, going back to their homes, not without just how I say, not just being exploited. No? So the Incas, or the ruler in this case, had a special administrative centers where they kept some resources, like in this case food. So all of this food has been also distributed at the end with this purpose. So the leader, in this case, the Inca, ordered to the leaders of these communities. The community helps to the leader, and the leader to the. At the end, the Incas share part of this government resources with the leaders, and the leaders with the population in this case. So it's like showing again the reciprocity as they do, for example, with their entities, similar, no? They ask for something, but at the end, giving something. So all the people go back with something at the end. This is quite nice. Different as Spain in that moment, probably, no? Or Europe. Totally different. Totally different. Okay. Could be considered like an socialism system or communism system, because everyone's worked for one project. At the end, also the government provide everything to the population. So every single people has their own the same distribution in regards to resources for like a living, houses or food or clothes. In that case, we can. How can I say? No one could be do how is it? Consider rich, or no, not rich, but how is this? No one has advantages of the others, no, but
Except the English.
the English, except the elites, obviously. Except
Right.
the elites, no? The elites.
Yeah.
Okay. And also, another thing is this road. Yeah, we need to know the roads of Kapahnyang. Were built not for the population, so that's the difference. So they are. So population were, they said, the idea for the government is you born in this area, you grow in this area, and you die in that area. Those roads mainly were built, but to transport resources for the state, for the government mainly. So, or to move military or the armies, no? Or for the elites in this case. No? And were another group of people that were called the messengers or runners, that also use this kind of road to pass information in between. This system also were, those guys were called chaskis, efficient. In that period, was the most efficient system to pass information. Imagine that from Quito, from Ecuador to Cusco, the message arrived in just 5 days. We are talking about how long? Well, 3,000, 4,000 kilometers in just a straight, maybe more. But just
How did
5
it
days.
arrive so fast then, surely?
Yeah, good question. The system were like a relay system, passing the information to another person and another person.
But still, that's like 4,000
It's still-
kilometers in 4 days.
That's another thing that they were very smart to distribute all along the territory in a small distance in between. So they consider, for example, in between 18 to 25 years old, the average age for the kids or the people that are stronger and faster, good skill. But also the distance, how efficient you're gonna run in, let's say, in 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Yeah. So they divide according to the Inca Garcilaso de la Vega. For those along the territory, exist like small houses that they were called like chasquihuasis. 4 or 6 people were in there waiting for the message. In between 2.5, 3 kilometers. Yeah, it's not longer, but it's quite enough distance for one person to run in a efficient.
Fast, yeah. Like
very
a
fast.
relay, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so
Wow.
it's crazy, no?
Mm.
We're not on the information that was passed in that moment. We're not only talking. Imagine if you do that and you make a mistake, no?
Right.
So at the end,
Yeah,
Tell
Chinese
you
whispers.
told that, and in that case, sometimes the people were, or those runners were executed. Not even them, so their family as well, because
Wow.
this is quite cruel, no? Extreme. But they need to understand that that mistake were not accepted because they can destroy their own organization at the end, no?
So how
The
can
current-
they prove that the message is true or not? I mean, the emperor, or the government know
And
that.
how can they find out which person's told the next person the wrong message?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's so many.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so many, yeah. Talking was probably the less common.
Did they
Right.
wrote it? It was wrote on a scribe or
Okay.
something.
Was
Yeah,
it like
yeah.
people intentionally change the message too?
No, I don't think so. Because this is one of those how they grow up.
Right.
Well, they grow up learning that it's impossible to lie,
Right.
especially if
okay.
you do that.
You die.
That service. Let's consider service to the government. No. So in other cases they use
Did
this.
they not use horses as well?
No horses in this area.
No
horses.
horses.
These are the
Wow,
only
impressive.
animals that they had it before, or for transporting food and things like that, were the llamas.
Right. Okay,
Llamas, only llamas. No? Okay. So they also use this kind of material. Maybe you don't. It doesn't make sense for you, probably not. Okay. It's like a strings. One main string and hanging some different strings at different sizes and different colors. Okay. So this system is another writing system.
Oh, okay. So that's
By
why-
Oh.
the Spanish consider that this is just an accounting system. The chronicles describe, for example, this guy, no, Inca Garcilaso de la Vega, described that the Incas used the quipu. That's how it's called. Quipu is an action, tied. So they tied the ropes, between all this team to make or to locate an amount of animals or resources from the state, people like a census, how many people live in one area, boys, girls, new babies, old people, or how many people die. It's like a statistics system, obviously. Yeah. But they were not only the way, they also, it is considered that another way how they write a historical event. Yeah. So one of the guys, one of the scholars is called Locke. This guy is a North American also. Okay. So making a big research about those quipus, okay, consider that the Incas use a decimal system to describe a mountain. How it does work? It works from the bottom part. First, unit, tens, hundreds, thousands, and 10,000s. 10,000s were the highest amount in that period. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 9, another level, 10, same, no? 90, another level. So it looks easy, no? But what happened then? So this guy found that there were not only way to tie those strings. They use the simple round way. They will use also the 8 shape, and they will use also the Z shape. So what does shapes or those type of tying are trying to describe? This is another mystery thing. Maybe not only amount. That's another thing. Okay? New guy, they say Gary Urton. Yeah, that's another another North American guy. Describe that beside that the Incas use the decimal system, also they apply this binary system. So 1 0 1 0 1 0 using on this. Obviously, it's quite difficult to explain how those Incas apply, but 500 years probably it was possible for sure. But different type of concept. Buenos días, papá.
Buenos días.
Different way to concept, create a conception of thinking. About
So would that be what they passed along then? One of those?
one of the
Yeah.
passing
Wow.
register. So there's only the elites, or only special guys, what we'll call Kipu Kamayo, like teachers, know how to describe or codify
To read it, kind of
this,
thing, yeah.
these keeps. Imagine if the enemies or even the common population were able to learn, no? So all the information were splitting along the territory. Was not the right way to share.
So has this been encrypted? I mean, or decrypted? Like
Question, yeah.
decoded?
Can they read it
Decode,
now?
yeah,
Do we know what that
decode,
says?
Kind of. Yeah. Only those
Exactly.
guys were allowed to know, no?
But do we know now?
Do we know now?
No.
No,
It's
it's still a
quite
mystery.
a mystery. So, Lachlan, these guys I mentioned,
I suppose that
they're
knowledge is
trying
out
to
though,
figure
isn't
it out.
You know?
Trying to figure it out. But it's like a theory or hypothesis. Trying to the research comes from how the chronicles describe us. Because this is for the chronicles mainly. This is not a way to register a history, apparently. So that's a new investigation shows yes, they were writing history in this system and the keepers, but also on some textiles. For example, on those you can see on the bells of the Inca, also the bell. Yeah, has some geometrical shapes. So those geometrical shapes also trying to describe some historical events. One of the chronicles called Chiesa de Leon, he mentioned that the Incas used to have a special place called Poken Cancha. It's like a library where they were keeping the whole historical events in tables, not table, plaques, no? In plaques, in woods, metals, laminated with golden or silver according with which events was in that moment. Who ordered this to keep all this information was also Pachacute. Okay, so but all of this let's say information at the end was destroyed. Yeah.
What, by the Spanish?
This part of that were destroyed by the Spanish. Part of the information were also destroyed by the last Inca ruler before the Spanish arrived, Atahualpa. Yeah. This guy is quite also famous, not because he was a good leader, it's because he was the last ruler when the Spanish arrived, and he did something back events in his government. We're gonna talk about this guy, but just to letting you know.
So the Inca, the main kind of where it was controlled from was all Cusco, yeah?
The capital,
Yes,
as the principal
yeah.
city, guys.
So your likes of Machu Picchu and the Inca ruins, that was just settlements.
Let's talk about along all along the territory exists some small administrative center.
I see.
For example, I'm not gonna say like Tapata, but distribute in between 15 to 20 kilometers distance. Okay, so small admins control the territory. In this case, could be religiosity, political, or even economic. Yeah, that was this the function of those administrative centers, but not for living for the local population, no. That's mostly for the elites who were controlling the area.
Yeah, because a lot of work's gone into building them, hasn't it? It couldn't be just for.
The another thing is that how they consider the distance in between 15 to 20 kilometers. Okay. Curiously, not curiously, they say the principal animal I mentioned, the llama. No? How long could the llama walk in one day?
I'm guessing 15 to 20.
Exactly. So they were also very smart because the llama is the only they use it for transport all the resources.
So they build an administration
according to how long the llama
One day.
can walk in one day, because the llama can walk more, but in excess the llama once the llama stop, that's all for the llama. I'm not gonna stand up or continue. It just they need to sacrifice. So considering that, they established the distance in between to build all this administrative centers. Smart, yeah,
that's very
smart. Back in the time, they were using something related about what's the environment surrounding them. No, that's it. Okay.